All right, guys, and welcome back to another Solo Leveling Arise video. My name is D-Free, and today we're going to cover all of the hunters, at least the higher rarity ones, and we're going to talk about which ones you guys should be investing in. We're going to go through pretty much tier list style and talk about all these characters. I hope you guys enjoy. Make sure you hit that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you happen to be new. Also, if you're not currently supporting a creator, make sure that you do support me because I can give you all these different rewards. Link is down below in the description. Mana power extract, essence stones, etc. Also, if you are currently supporting from your Netmarble partner creator plus page, go to your supporter tab, and there may be a button to extend support. That's very important because when the season ends shortly here, they will unsupport, make you guys all unsupport everybody. So that's how it works. So anyway, do this and I'll be able to send you guys these rewards directly into your gift box. All of them that are available right now to send and have not expired are on the page right now. I'll be able to send all those to you guys through the creator program. All right, so we're gonna go over here and talk about the hunters, like I said. So quick note. The thing with tier lists and why I don't do them very often is because they're very divisive. Like, people have their own perceptions on what you should consider good in the game, and that's very fair, obviously. A lot of people are going to skip to the end of the tier list and literally get no context whatsoever, you know who you are, about why I put where I put it anywhere. And then it's going to be, oh, you're crazy because this or that, right? But understand this is my opinion, right? And I'll explain my criteria. Okay, so first things first. I'm going to go through the hunters and in the order they're listed down below from Choi to Isla there. And we're going to talk about them individually, what I think they can do and where I think they're mainly used at, if they're used at all, because not all these characters are used today. We're also going to talk about my opinions on the support characters, etc. And one thing I kind of won't do in this one is I'll put them all on equivalent tiers. Like, I'm not going to put, so excuse me, the support characters head and shoulders above everything else because they're a support character. Like, that's a common thing you see in tier lists. So all right, let's start off with Choi. I think that he's pretty good in some content, like Guild Boss, if you wanted to use him there. His main thing, I think that after, really you want to get him to A5, but at least that first dupe, I think he becomes usable. For the record, pretty much none of these characters are super duper usable without at least a dupe. They all want at least that first dupe for the most part, but I think he can be good in some content if you really wanted to use him, but he's not a choice that you have to go out of your way to use. Going to put him in A tier. Thomas, the one of the best characters in the game, period, has a lot of interesting, powerful effects, whether it's to support Sung Jinu and be used that way, you know, to help him out, but individually super strong and a fun character to use also with the way he transforms and stuff. So I actually think that he's usable in pretty much any piece of content, depending on if obviously if they're weak to him, etc. But even if they're not, I think he's a interesting support option for Sung. So we're going to put him in SS. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about with that, here's what it looks like. If I can find the codex, we'll go over to hunters and find Thomas. I don't need to do this. I own all these characters, but whatever. So here's the support skill. So gives shield. When the user gains a shield, it increases the critical hit rate and critical hit damage, gains a shield as well, equal to 10% of Thomas's defense. That actually could be pretty good if you got a built up Thomas, by the way. Like, that's super duper strong. So I think that he's really useful, at least for that in a lot of content. Cha, unfortunately, is not a primary character on the light team. However, and this is pretty cool, they're side by side. If you wanted to make an argument she's here, that's fair too. But she's a really good secondary character. In fact, I'll leave her there. And she can do a lot of burst damage and can be used in all the same content. The light team is very strong. They've got a lot of options. And like I said, unfortunately, she kind of just falls behind Thomas as the main DPS, in my opinion. You could make a choice otherwise, or make a argument otherwise, excuse me. I've seen her really pop off in certain comps. That's why I said I actually will just leave her in A. But she's really good, and I like the branding and all that stuff that she can provide in multiple game modes, including as a support for Sung. So go. One of the best breakers in the game. I will put him up here. I thought about putting him next to Cha, but I think he's pretty vital to this team. Not only is he a great breaker, he's also got that almighty break on the ultimate when you've got the dupe invested. Again, all these characters need various levels of dupes. I think Cha wants the third dupe, if I remember correctly, but Go, he gets really crazy with that third dupe, but then really gets really strong with that fifth dupe. Anyway, so Go, in my opinion, again, not just an awesome breaker, but also has some great support abilities as well. So moving on from there, speaking of support, we have the two light element supports next. So Shimizu Akari, I think she got buffed, right? I think she's okay, but I still don't see much of a need to use her other than Min. Like she's probably a little bit better just as a flat buffer for Thomas than Min is, because that's what she was supposed to be. But I think Min is just better because he's universal and you can use him anywhere, like I said. But I also think that Min is just a better support character, in my opinion. She's got more specialized support, and there's not really anything wrong with that. There's a lot of specialized support characters in the game. There's not anything wrong with that, but I personally would prefer to use Min. So they're back to back, but we'll go from there. Increased damage dealt by 8% with Brilliance, and increases the critical hit rate of the user's basic skill and ultimate skill. That's pretty solid, by the way. Brilliance is really good, but I prefer just general crit damage you get from Min's passive, which would be applied, and then also you would get Min's support effect as well. So we're going to get to that in a second. But this is cool too. She does the stun. She's got a lot of things going on here. But I don't know that she was a character that was necessarily needed. Like, I don't think you... Like, I think you could have skipped her. I don't think that you really needed to go out of your way to get her. Especially if you had, again, Min, who I really, really like. Been in the game since launch, and he's an awesome character. So when tagging in or using Divine Punishment applies the disguise effect. So... right here, he's going to actually just do a few things, but just in general, disguise, punishment, all that's really useful. And that's him as an individual character. Applying the disguise allows for him to decrease damage taken by 50% and enhances specific skill effects when hit, removes disguise as well. That first dupe increases all team members' critical hit rates and crit damage by 12%. And then when you get that last dupe, when the user uses Heavenly Blessing, which is the ultimate, increases the damage of the next ultimate skill of the team member with the highest total power by 50%. That's an insane buff, and it's universal. You can determine who that goes to by obviously giving that character the highest power. And then when he uses his ultimate, he pushes across a bunch of buffs, including a critical hit damage buff. The user's critical hit damage increases equal to 40% of the amount that exceeds Min's basic critical hit damage. So he's pushing out a buff for critical hit as well. Critical hit damage there. And then here's his Sung Jin-woo support. But again, Sung Jin-woo would also get the critical bonus. But here's the Sung Jin-woo support. It applies the Light Glimmer. Entire team continuously restores HP, and then also does a punishment for the enemy to take more damage. So just very, very good, very useful, and is not going through and just saying, oh, light element only. Like, that's a thing they started recently with the newer gen supports, and there's not really a problem with that, but I really do value Min highly. All right, so moving on from there, I'll put Min here. You could say he's top row, by the way, but I'm going to put him there because I do think I want to leave the best two supporters, in my opinion, on the top row. And again, Min is not far off of those guys or ladies when I get to them, but you'll see. Mireille, the best Wind Hunter in the game, insane DPS, one of the best DPS characters in the game, fun style again to play with, very cookie cutter play style, I will say. Like, she may be the easiest character in the game to use, seriously, if not one of them. So she just comes in, does her thing, does a bunch of damage. Hansemi, I'm not going to really spend a lot of time on Hansemi. I think she's a really good support character, one of those new gen supports. Also got that survivability, so she's pretty unique with that survivability that she has. I like her a lot. She's going into S. Wu Jinchul, I'm going to put him in A. However, I really like Wu Jinchul. One of my favorite supports in general to use alongside Sung Jin-woo because the extra dashing and all that stuff. And then just in general, fun character to use, the breaking and then the dash into the core attack. Like, he's a fun character to use. Also cool character from the series, in my opinion, but that's just flavor text, right? That's not exactly a descriptor of what makes him good. But if we pull him up here, let me show you what I meant with Sung. So when he's used, it increases the maximum number of dash instances by 2. I love that. And charges for 20 seconds. That's pretty awesome. But he's just breaking. He's not really doing anything crazy. He's been buffed like 5 times. He's not doing anything crazy, but still a very strong breaker. Very strong support character. I guess he's one that's useful or usable at whatever level, but he gets much better as you invest dupes like all the other hunters do. Moving on from here, I want to go back, and we are going to go to Charlotte and Harper. They are both going into S. With these ladies, you really want, I think, the third dupe on both of them, but you also really want the 5th dupe on both of them. And that could be asking a lot, right? But the first dupe is usable. I'd say I wouldn't really touch Charlotte without the first dupe, but I could use Harper. So here's the first dupe on her. When the user uses the tier 3 basic one time, take this becomes available. So she starts just when the user uses Isla's dance and increases dark damage. Tier 3 basic is when she's used the basic attack so many times. Take this becomes available. Is that the name of the ultimate? Yeah. So I'm not using her without that. I'm just not. Especially if you got a silver main that's got enhancements. But she gets really strong when you got more in there. Basic attacks become faster with that 4th dupe, and that one makes a huge difference. But she's fun because she's one of the few characters in the game that can actually predetermine when she's going to launch an ultimate and does a lot of damage with it. I also like, I believe she's got a support effect with this, right? Oh no, the extra damage there. Maybe it's on a passive. When the user uses basic attack, it activates Doll's gratitude. Increase the damage of Harper. We are 1 by 8%. Oh, that's what I'm thinking about. Stacking up to 15 times. Speaking of support effects, so Harper, fun character. Just in general, I really like using her, but you really want to get what is it, this 5th dupe, because this 5th dupe enhances Pork Chopped, and it's insanity what it does. So Pork Chopped is a fun ability because you hold the button and she keeps hitting the opponent, and with each hit it stacks up to 12 times, increases the enemy's dark damage received. Also on her ultimate, I thought she had a dark damage received debuff on her, or oh, it's the weapon. I'm pretty sure it's the weapon. Right, I haven't really talked much about weapons. Yeah. So on the weapon, when the user uses the ultimate, increases their team members' dark damage. So again, more support there for the dark team. And then she also has this paralysis for Sung Jinu. Very useful, very useful to hit the enemy for 3-second paralysis. And then she also can do the breaks across. And then she has a paralysis on the core attack. Just a bunch of utility. Really is all it is, just a bunch of utility, but it makes her very useful. She'll never be much of a damage dealer, but she is a nice utility slash support character. So in my opinion, I think that makes her very useful. And the dark team's kind of fun because they've got them, and then Isla, who is at A3, I think the best supporter in the game. I think that could be debated a little bit with Mei Lin when we get to her. I talked about the ladies, and it's those two, but let's talk about Isla, right? She is super duper useful in my opinion. Actually, her weapon is strong too, right? Entire team's defense increases by 0.5 for every Dark Hunter on the team. Decreases their ultimate skill cooldown. Oh, man. And oh, man, Jingle Face. All right, anyway, moving on. So the ultimate skill cooldown is kind of nuts. So she's got this mechanic where depending on which skill she uses, her ultimate changes from being Zawaruda to death. So Zawaruda grants a shielding on 15% of her defense to the team. That's whatever. But death increases entire team's damage increase stat equal to 6% of her damage increase stat. So her artifacts, you really want to put damage increase on her artifacts because they start, it gets kind of crazy. And then if there's a dark element hunter on the team, it increases the entire team's ultimate skill damage by 12%. Just one other dark character increases the entire team's ultimate skill damage. So very strong. However, the reason I said that I wouldn't use her below A3 is because with A3, when the user uses horoscope, crossing stars, it activates strength, the magician. Basically, it takes I believe that's the limit break that takes the RNG stuff off, because she's got some RNG stuff in her kit that's not great, but I believe that's the one that takes it off. Whatever that is, that's what you want. But when you're actually using her, when the user uses a skill, it activates either Strength the Magician, Wheel of Fortune, Wheel of Fortune's the last name. So when you use the core attack, she's either going to give the user's damage increase, grant a shield to the team, or increases the team member's critical hit rate and damage. And then right here, when the user uses a skill, it applies either of these effects to the entire team. So the star instantly restores HP equal to her health, or her defense, to the team, increases user's damage, shield, and then critical hit bonuses. That's a lot of effects. However, it's not gonna give everything, right? When the user uses a skill, it activates the star effect, right? And then when the user uses a skill, it applies the other effect to the rest of the team. However, if we go back to the third one, when the user uses horoscope, crossing stars, it activates Strength, Magician, and Wheel of Fortune. So yeah, that's what it is. Crossing Stars. So with that third dupe, she gives everything. That's what that means. Third dupe gives everything. Insane. Not even, she's the best support, and I don't think it's close, actually. Actually, looking at it again, I don't think it's close, man. And then Horoscope is this. She gives everything, again, with that third dupe. So very, very, very strong. And then that fifth dupe enhances Death in the World. Look at what Death does, by the way. Look at Death Shepherd. Increase the entire team's damage, increase stat equal to 12% of Isla's. And then if there's a Dark Hunter on the team, it increases the entire team's ultimate damage by 32%, and then activates Death Shepherd for the whole team. Increase damage by 0.2 for every 1% reduction of the target's HP, stacking up to 16%. Wow. she is really good. It doesn't matter what form of content you're taking her in. She's insane. While we're talking about her, we'll talk about Mei Lin next. She'll jump the list. By the way, I have not, again, talked a ton about the weapons, but Mei Lin's also got a really good weapon. It increases the damage of the team member with the highest attack by 1% per 2,000 of Mei Lin's max HP for 12 seconds. And that obviously goes up. Decrease ultimate skill cooldown. Like I said on the other girl, the ultimate skill cooldown as well is super strong. However, this one like requires her to be in action. Side whip was what, her QTE? Oh, it's the core attack. So when you use the core attack, which is not very hard to do. All right, so let's show you guys what she does. First and foremost, her support for Janu. When the target hits, it removes the shield. So she takes a shield off the opponent. Off rip. That's really good for Sung Janu. When the user uses skill, it instantly restores the user's HP equal to 8% of Mei Lin's HP. And then it activates the Berry on Pumped effect, which increases the user's attack by 16% and decreases their damage taken. So flat bonus, and then also chops off damage taken. However, when she's used outside of that role or just naturally on her team, she gets so much better, obviously, as she is the primary linchpin in terms of making the water team go. And then here's a fun thing with Pumped Up. Look how it gets enhanced later. Look at how Pumped Up gets enhanced later, which is the ultimate skill effect. Her ultimate skill effect is crazy naturally. It's one of the best support abilities in the game, only rivaled by Isla's in my opinion, like I was mentioning. But look at this fifth dupe and how it enhances it to 16% attack, defense, critical hit rate, core attack damage, and decreases damage taken by 16%. Just insane stuff. But this second dupe also, this second dupe is really strong because when it says all team members get a passive increase, that does apply to Sung Janu when they're support hunters. So this is an extra 8%. Additionally, increase the attack and defense of water element team members as well by a bit more. However, in Sung Janu mode, you know, it's not really that part of it's not the craziest thing, but whatever. Getting 8% more on top of what the actual support effect is really strong. So Mei Lin is a really useful character, absolutely one that you would want to use. But I think it's those two and then Min are the best. I like her, Lee Bora. I just don't think there's much of a need for her anymore. So I'm not gonna pull up her page and talk about her because we're already starting to get a little long here. I don't think there's much of a need for her anymore, but I do like the way that she can do the charm and she does you know, that circle that stays out there for a while. She's a fun character. Just don't think that she's necessarily needed, but she can be useful as a support as well because of that stuff. I'm gonna put Alicia in A, the main DPS for the water team. The problem with the water team is that they kind of aren't really needed. They kind of peaked a little bit early, which is actually a testament to Mei Lin being so good. Because the water team was useful for Vulcan, which was 6 months ago. Maybe not 6, maybe 4 or 5 months ago, but it was a long time ago. These characters came out a long freaking time ago. So, because we're already 9 months into the game, 10 months into the game now. So that's a testament to how good they are. But yeah, I don't know that necessarily she should be on the top row like the other DPS characters. If you wanted to do that, that's fine, because if you were using the water team, she is the primary character. Fun character playstyle as well, I will say that. But again, more flavor text. But I will pull her page up very briefly to show you guys just her support skill, because I don't remember it. I think she did a freeze. Was it a freeze? Yeah, I haven't used her in so long. Grants a shield too and a freeze. That's okay. Freeze has utility for a couple seconds. It's all right. It's all right, but I wouldn't really be using her very much. In fact, if there's ever a time where I can use an element other than water, I do, for the record. That just, it is what it is. Emma Laurent, don't think you need her at all, especially now that Isla is out. But prior to Isla, I probably would have put her in S, but she's going here in the bin of characters that's more like utility characters that you don't necessarily need anymore. That's where I will leave her. I have not put anybody in B yet, but you're going to be the first one in B. Baek Yoon-ho, once upon a time the best breaker in the game. He is far removed from that. His main utility is the defense down debuff that he can apply out there. However, he's not necessary because of the fact he's not a DPS character that's going to stand the test of time. He's also not a breaker that's going to stand the test of time because he's already been replaced by Go Gun-hee. So I have no clue what they're going to do for him, if he ever will get reworked in a meaningful way, because he'll forever be behind Go Gun-hee otherwise. I don't really know what the plan is there. And I believe he had a DPS based weapon as well, right? Like it's just bad. Like it's just all bad. You just don't do that. That's just all bad. Yeah. Increases the user's defense. Yeah. So a DPS based weapon, because increasing his defense increases his attack because he scales off of attack. So just not really doing much. Dong-soo, I'm going to put him in B, but I actually like Dong-soo a lot. Like I actually really like Dong-soo. I'm gonna put him in A. That may be a little bit biased, but I really like Dong-soo. I really like Dong-soo. Not in the series, but in the game. He's fun to play with. So I'm gonna be a little bit biased. But he does have utility. He does have utility. He can do a decent bit of damage. He just can't keep up with Mei Lin. So he also has, I believe, a shield removal effect, which is also really good. A stun there for 4 seconds can be useful too. Where's the shield removal? Removes the shield. That's useful. And then he's got these super short cooldowns, so he can kind of reuse these skills. They've also got some charging mechanics and all that stuff going on. And then he gets a lot of increases in here. When he starts getting scavengers and stuff like that, he gets really strong. However, I just wouldn't go out of my way to really use him, but you could if you want to. Since he scales off defense, he's got some good survivability too. But yeah, I guess I'll put him in A, or excuse me, in B, even though I'm a little biased towards him in terms of like I like using him. I'll put him down just for the sake of fairness. Lim, going in B as well. One of only 2, right? Attack scaling breakers. Him and Isla, right? Is there another one I'm not thinking about right now? Anyway, just not necessary at all. There's just too many dark characters now that kind of are just better. I mean, there's only one other breaker, right? But there's no spot for him. That's just kind of the role he's in. Suh. She's kind of like Dong-soo, but a breaker that she can spam the skills. I think she's better at it, though. She's just a more efficient breaker, or a more efficient spammer. But what was her support skill? But yeah, I'm going to leave her there. She's still one of the main characters if you wanted to run a pure water team. However, if the enemy doesn't have a break gauge, obviously you don't have to bring her in. And at that point, you'd want to bring another support character or something like that to be your third character. She did have some fun bonuses. So what I will say is she gives a shield, huh? What I will say is she's also got a DPS. She's Baek Yoon-ho again with a DPS based bonus. However, hers is far better. She doesn't just increase defense. Ooh, she's getting a critical hit increase, increased damages, stacking up to 20 times. And then that's triggering repeatedly while she's using these skills that she's able to spam. So much, much, much better character based on her weapon. And for some of these characters, the weapon will make or break them. And again, I've done an inconsistent job of talking about the weapons, which is my fault. I don't know that Dong-soo has, basic skill damage, just gives him extra damage, basically. Lee Bora's weapon, will this change how I view her? The targets have the damage that they take from critical hits, and their chance of receiving critical hits increase. That's a really good weapon. I like it. Makes them more likely and makes them take more damage from crits. Increases water damage dealt. That's good, but not something that would make me change my opinion. I do like Emma's support abilities, but I'm just not even really talking much about her because she's just not necessary. Not with Isla anyway, and Isla's going to be top list, so we're going to get to her in a minute. Gina, I haven't even got to yet. MP stuff, mana circulation activates, increase all team members attack and fire damage. Insane. Yeah, like I said, I've done an inconsistent job of talking about the weapons because for some of these characters, like Go, his is really good. The light damage dealt to the target increases, just more support stuff. I kind of talked about how Go can be a support-ish character. But for some of these characters, admittedly, their weapon will make or break their usefulness. So Silvermane, speaking of weapons, his, I can tell you off rip, is really strong. It makes it to where I believe he decreases more of his HP when he uses his basic skill or basic attack, one of the two. And the lower in life he is, the more damage he does, and he becomes really strong. Here's my thing with him. I'm gonna put him here. That could be generous. He could be here easily. Like, these, by the way, aren't, if it wasn't clear, they're not numbered, or like Thomas isn't the best character in the game in based on this tier list. I mean, he could be, but that's not what I'm saying here. Cha is not the best S rank character in the game. They're not listed by order. They're just in here. You could put him wherever in terms of A or S. It's up to you. However, what I will say is I think he's super strong, and I used him a lot until I got Charlotte, right? To A5. I would only use Silvermane. Seriously. And he did a lot of damage. As long as you're not getting blitzed and destroyed, he's good. But they kind of fixed that with giving him a shield. So I like him a lot. Why the hell is she here? So isn't she an original character? She is, huh? I'm gonna put her there, I guess, because whatever. And then, oh, she's actually a proxy. She's a proxy for Gina, because Gina's not on this list. She's a proxy for Gina. Okay, so I'm gonna put Gina S, and we're gonna put U S, and we're gonna put Isla S. And here's the thing: when Kanae, whatever comes out, she's gonna go down. Just for the record, she's going. I mean, you can leave her there if you want, but I'm pretty sure the new character will be better. So if you want to say this is the definitive version of the list, that's fine. So let's just kind of quickly talk about all of the fire characters at once. I think I think fire is the best team in the game right now, and some of that's forecasting because the next character coming out, you could argue it's light. You could argue whatever. But a fire team that's stacked already is the better team to use in the Deimos workshop. And I don't know. I don't think it's close. I don't think it's close at all. And I think they wind up just being the best team for damn near every game mode. Seriously. I'm not even kidding. There's so much support across the board, and defense penetration seems to be the meta of the game right now because of it. And so, in my opinion, though, the trio of the fire ladies is the best team in the game right now. And also, Yu Su-hyun, an underrated thing about her too is because, like I said, I think defense penetration is the current meta. An underrated thing about her is that she has a defense penetration, play style, but support skill. Increases defense penetration and damage equal to Sung, to 16% of Sung Jinwoo's defense penetration. That's really strong. That's pretty strong. So I think that she is very, very useful. You know what? This almost reads like it's just giving her those bonuses, but support skills don't typically do that. So if anyone can correct me on that, I'm pretty sure she's applying that stuff to Jinwoo with the entirety of everything there with the spotlight effect. So last thing I wanted to say is just the support skills for all these characters. Gina has that halt in here, which is pretty nice. Also, the HP equal to Gina's attack. All team members' power gauges is charged. Insane utility. I could kind of just go through this forever, but they just have they basically have access to like largely every mechanic. And then Isla was an interesting character that came out because why are you freezing? Because she's also that's why it froze. She's also, in my opinion, the best breaker in the game, because of the way that her breaks work. And then I haven't even talked about the weapons because I've been trying to rapid fire this, but the freaking weapon is insane. Like, seriously, the weapon is ridiculous. So yeah, I think the fire team is tops in the game right now. And I think the fire team is useful in any single game mode right now. So that is the top list of characters. I actually tackled this more tier list style than I intended to, but if you wanted to know which characters to mainly invest in, the top row will carry you. Again, this chick, she's not individually good. She's a proxy for Gina. She's not here. This is Gina. I mean, she's got a break in poison or whatever, right? Like poison, right? I haven't used her in so long. I swear she's an original character. Anyway, the top row, they're your main supports and DPSs and the best two breakers in the game. That's what that is, right? And then the second row, you've got either secondary options or some of the best DPSs or supports in the game as well. You can make an argument. Actually, I'm going to leave him here, but I kind of talked myself into putting him in SS, by the way, but I'm going to leave him there. Yeah, so that's more or less it. And then with the top second row, you have, you know, your other team, like the dark team, stuff like that. A lot of it's here, right? The other two girls are there, or Silvermane if you were going to use him. Your water stuff. You've got your wind support. You've got secondary support or character options too, like a Silvermane, like a Cha, if you wanted to do that. And then below, those are optional characters. I wouldn't use the B rank characters. There's not much of a need to use them. But if you wanted to, feel free. All right, guys, hope you all enjoyed. Remember to support through the creator program linked down below. And I will see everyone next time. Take it easy, excuse me.